All right. Well, here we are. Thank you very much, Catherine, for attending. It's very brave. Uh, I hope you're not nervous. I hope you're not as nervous as I am.
Maybe a little bit.
All right. Okay. I'm guessing because you're in this that you know some astrology.
Yes, a little bit.
A
Been
little bit.
studying for years.
All right. So you have your ascendant at 29.5 degrees Aquarius, right?
Yet,
So that means what? If you were born a minute later, you'd have a Pisces ascendant, doesn't it?
yep.
Okay, well, so I thought that might be a good theme to start on. I'm figuring, that you kind of got uh, a foot in sort of two different territories, really. One is the kind of
Mhm.
Aquarian territory, that is that you're really interested in groups and really involved with groups and very good at dealing with groups, and but it's like kind of a responsibility, perhaps. And the other is that you're quite spiritually orientated, and that's also a really important side of things. So I'm guessing that you work with groups. And I notice, of course, that you have a lot of planets in the fifth house, and that's quite good for teaching, isn't it? So maybe teaching groups, maybe something to do with kids or something like that. That was my first thought. Um, and then I thought um, that oh yeah, what did I think? Um, that you probably heard a lot or kind of um, learned a lot about what it's like to have the Moon Saturn or Saturn Venus conjunctions and things like that. Have you heard a lot about that? Have people trying to interpret that? And
I've looked up, I've looked into that a lot, trying to understand that, feeling like that's probably something that's been very strong in my life.
yeah, I thought
But
I'd
I
leave that
haven't
alone
really,
for a bit because I figured, you've you've heard enough about it, right?
not enough. I don't know. I mean, I've heard some about it, and I
Um,
don't know. It seems like most things I hear are more negative, and I am always trying to find the a positive.
Yeah, and that's what I thought I'd do actually.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
so I'm just admitting people here. Um, so yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to look at actually was this. You got Jupiter in the first house in Pisces, right? And so I think that's a kind of very fortunate position. I just want to check you don't have a big yacht or anything like that. You say.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, right. And I noticed also that Jupiter's trine Saturn in your chart, isn't it? Have you noticed?
Yeah.
And actually, today it's exact. There's a Jupiter's trine Saturn today, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you know how
Huh.
often that's happened in your life from Pisces to
Mm-mm.
twice?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
today.
that is more than a coincidence, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is more than a coincidence, and it's a testimony to how fantastic the consultation chart is because
Wow.
it's showing a repeat of something kind of rare. And I'm guessing that you're extremely good because of this Jupiter Saturn trine.
So
You
I should go buy a lottery ticket today? That's what I
well, I'm not sure Saturn's going to permit that.
that's the Saturn. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So I think that it's like, when you're working with people, well, maybe I should ask, do you work with groups or anything like that?
Well, I could tell you in my past, I've had different types of careers and different things I've tried to do, but currently, no, not necessarily. But what I wanted to do for my career and what my education is was in social work. And I was working with foster kids, and in my training,
Yeah.
and in the beginning, I was teaching groups.
Yeah.
And I actually love group therapy. I'm a big advocate to people about how the
Yeah.
importance of group therapy, how beneficial it is for no
Right.
matter what it is,
Great,
grief
great.
counseling or anything. So
Right. So,
that's
so that
uh,
actually fits pretty well, doesn't it? Well, that
yes,
previous work with social work, because you have the moon in Capricorn in the 11th, so it's like, very conscious of people in difficulty who you may want to help, etc. And the what was the thing with kids you did?
Well, that was the social work. I was working with foster kids and doing some group training, group teaching or mentoring.
And I thought
So
that
I
was
have done that.
interesting with foster kids because, I think you're pretty good at working with people with behavioral problems, which could be the Mercury in the fifth, square Uranus and opposite Chiron and that, and actually that's a really important thing right now. So it could be an area to start talking about. Mm. Um, but I think it's going to be difficult for me to explain. Let me just try and orientate myself a little bit more. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Did you have them like in the early 30s, 32, 33, 34?
I had one biological child, and I was 39 when she was born.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know if I wanted children. That was a conscious decision.
Okay. I think that's a typical Saturn in the fifth house decision, isn't it? It's your ascendant ruler if you take the traditional ruler of Aquarius. So it's in the fifth. So there's a lot of doubt about whether it's going to be a fun thing to do, I think, right?
Now, do you use traditional rulers for the chart ruler?
Well, I'm kind of interested in both, I would say.
Okay.
So I would definitely use Saturn because it's your ascendant ruler in the fifth. That's going to be really important. And I'd look at Uranus because because you've got Aquarius rising, and I think you're kind of interested in alternative things and things like that. So
yes. And I should say my birth time is accurate. That is on my birth certificate. So that's.
But maybe just a quick thing about the Saturn then, and in the fifth, because normally with that, with Saturn, Venus in the fifth, maybe your parents, are they kind of Catholic or religious?
I was raised Catholic. My father's side was very Catholic. Yeah.
Sorry, the last bit.
They were very Catholic. Actually, both my parents come from very religious families.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I am very spiritual. Like you said, I am. I actually almost wanted to be a nun. It was one option. Right. That quickly dissolved.
Okay. Great. And I think that's a very serious issue for you, like your belief systems and the traditional beliefs and that. But I'm wondering if you ran into trouble. You got an Aquarius rising, so maybe it didn't kind of fit with your parental expectations. So like when you were a teenager, maybe they were very concerned about who you were dating, were they there?
Yes, I did have quite a lot of issues growing up.
Yeah. And talking about those issues, like, when you're around 15, 16, it's like when you're going to fall in love, really, your first.
It was actually, I could tell you when I was 14, I had my first boyfriend, 14 to 15. And it was very, I wonder if this is Mars in the seventh house, but I ended up having to get a restraining order against him. And it was a lot of stress on my mother who had to deal with.
So a restraining order even when you were 15.
Yes, unfortunately. Okay. I kind of had a rough and tough childhood. I think that's why I wanted to go into social work. But I'm very open about it. I can talk all about it.
Good. But did you think it made you more careful about who you chose as a partner?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I after that experience, I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have, that's when I was thinking maybe I would become a nun and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not going to work with the nun thing because all the stuff in the fifth and the 11th is too sociable. I think you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. A nice thought, though, right?
Yeah.
But, if you're trying to take the, the lessons you learn from your teenage experiences in love, do you think you would have, sort of developed some protective mechanisms so it didn't happen again?
Yeah, I became very, I didn't date a lot, or I would date, but I would not get serious because I took it very serious. Like I saw that you commit or get in a relationship with someone, and if you're not that interested, I've had stalkers and that when I was young, and that is not, so that kept me guarded from that point on.
Right.
Those experiences, realizing that really have to put up borders because I was very naive and nice. I realized just being nice to someone, they can interpret that the wrong way. And
So what kind of borders or barriers do you put up today to prevent that kind of
well, unfortunately, I feel like some people, some of the feedback I get is that I am, their people's first impression of me is not really who I am. So I do think I come off a little bit standoffish. You know, I'm very introverted anyways, but that comes
standoffish?
across.
Does that mean that you don't engage emotionally, or how is that?
Yeah, I'm a little reserved emotionally until you get to know me, and then I can act like a silly child, you know, I can be
Yeah,
goofy and
yeah.
all that.
I find that's a lot with Venus Saturn and the moon opposite Venus Saturn. You you're very careful, but
Yes.
if you know if the love comes, if you fall in love, then you kind of become quite teenager again.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's exactly it. Very
yeah,
true.
right. Still, it's good to take a few risks. So you were talking about this Mars in Pisces in the seventh house, right? Is it,
Or Mars and
Mars
Virgo.
in Virgo,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
With the Pluto in the seventh house. So I wonder if that's why I've had issues with domestic violence, you know, in
I'm
that in
not
my
sure,
early
but
part.
the Mars Neptune, it's this. There's going to be a lot happening here now, so maybe I think we should talk about that. But Mars in the seventh square Neptune, it gives a tendency to misjudge men and then to get disappointed. You kind of see qualities in the guy which he tries to live up to, but then it kind of gets, he disappoints in some way. But now you're married, right? Or what?
Yes.
So when did you marry?
In 2008.
2008. Right. So you were 34 then.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Because there was a lot happening just before you got married, I'm thinking. Like a hell of a lot of changes in your life.
Yeah, I did. I made a move and was changing careers or
Hmm.
going back to school. Yeah.
Okay. So you found this guy. Well, anyway, um, if I've put up the consultation chart next to the birth chart here. So you got the birth chart on the left, the consultation chart on the right, right? And here's the funny thing. Apart from the fact you've got the Saturn Jupiter trine that repeats itself, I'm not sure if you can kind of see that. Like you've got Jupiter there, Saturn there, and Saturn there, and
Mm,
Jupiter over there. But you'll also notice, and it's an incredible thing, really. This very day, Mars has moved out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius and opposite Uranus, right? I don't know if you can see that, but there you are. Mars is in the 12th house,
yeah.
that's what it looks like today, where you are in, what's the name of your town? Where do you live?
Carmel.
Carmel, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's what it looks like above the sky where you are.
Mm, okay.
And so that's a little crazy that Mars opposite Uranus, and Mercury is also opposite Uranus. And actually, Mercury is going to soon go retrograde, and it's going to go opposite Uranus three times, And that reminds me in your birth chart that you've got Mercury square Uranus. And I wanted to find out what that is. I'm not sure, like what it is. Because if you were working with kids that were, had behavioral problems, that could be the Mars and the 12th opposite Uranus. It could be something, but you're not. So Uranus is going to be square your Mars. So there's going to be a lot of changes happening in your work and relationships and that kind of thing. A little unpredictable. And I think that this consultation chart shows a kind of something going on already. Something going on already. Um,
Mm,
and so, as Mars rules the fourth house in the consultation chart, I thought there's some disruption in the domestic life. Tell me.
hmm. Well, I've had a lot of changes in the last year and a half. I moved residence. We moved, and it was kind of fast. And we were in the same house for like 16 years, so that was a hard move for me. That was a lot of change for me. And then my work situation, my work did change recently. So, And then my mom did just pass away in September, 2 months ago. And currently my father is in the hospital right now.
Oh,
He's been in and out, so he's got some health problems. So I don't know if that's the type of things
yeah,
that would show
it's
up.
the father in the hospital,
Mhm.
because that's Mars in the 12th house in the consultation chart, right? And
Yeah.
what was the reason you'd come into hospital?
He's got a lot of problems. He's got kidney failure.
Kidney
And
failure.
yeah. And
Right.
so a bunch of health problems. He's
Hmm.
in
Do
his
you have any
80s.
questions about that? Like,
Well, he's just, this has been going on for 5 years in and out of the hospitals, out of the hospital. So I feel like he's just we feel like he's hanging on, but this time I think it's probably closer to, I don't know, we'll see.
yeah.
But I am dealing with, with my mother's passing, and she's back in Connecticut, dealing with the estate, and there's a lot of stress on me right now, juggling all that as I'm the power of attorney for that. So I have that I'm
Okay,
dealing with.
your mother passed away when?
September 7th this year.
Oh, okay, that's really recently then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's these legal issues connected with that.
Yeah. So now it's dealing with the legal side and doing that remotely. And so that's causing a lot of stress for me.
Right. So
So
the
it's a little bit
remote dealing
much.
with legal issues
Yes.
is Mercury in Sagittarius and Mars in Sagittarius opposite Uranus. It's very, very stressful.
Yes. Okay, good. That matches up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so so and yet you have this lovely this consultation chart I'm really dealing with a lot now. You have the moon in Taurus, it's like in this chart. So, and you'll see that the sun and the moon is in the 5th to the 11th, and it kind of reflects what you got in your birth horoscope. So,
Yeah, that's true. No, and I know
yeah.
we have a full
So
moon
maybe your
today
kids
too.
are really an anchor. How old are your kids?
Oh, well, I have just one, and she's 12, and I I have a stepson, and he's 24.
Okay, it is. So it's the daughter. What's her name?
Allie,
Sorry,
Allie,
Alan.
Allie,
Ali. Yeah. Okay.
Allie. Yeah.
Ali. Yeah. Okay, but isn't she a lovely person to be with?
Oh, yeah, and she's a Taurus too, but she's got
She's
a lot of
Taurus.
Taurus. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the moon in Taurus in the 5th in the consultation chart, right? So it's a kind of a really a great anchor in your life.
Oh, yes, she was definitely a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a kind of really nice to have an anchor in this incredibly stressful period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, for
how do you
sure.
see these legal issues resolving themselves?
It's going to take time, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, Uranus is going to be square Mars, which is the ninth house ruler in your chart, so it's going to be a hassle for a year or so.
And that's exactly when it's, yeah, projected to. They have the court,
Mm.
probate court is open for a year,
But
so
why
they
is
have
there a
it.
problem with this?
It's a little complicated, but
I know it's complicated, but what's the simple?
I don't know.
There must be some contention, right? Some
Yeah, because I have other siblings and stuff, so it's.
siblings and stuff. And how many of them are there?
Well, I did have a question because I do have since I was 3, I've had, I have step parents. Parents divorced when I was 3, and so I had then both parents remarried. So I had a stepmom and a stepfather, that were married to my parents for the rest of my, until they passed. So, and I do have a lot of half or step siblings. Not half, step siblings.
Yeah,
and
right.
one full brother. So I have one full brother from the 2 parents.
Is that what makes it very complicated with the?
Yeah, just a step sibling and trying to deal with a house.
So is there one particular sibling that's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's his name or her name?
A she. Yeah, Jules.
Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jules, right. Who, funny enough, she actually ended up being raised in foster care. That's why I wanted to be a social worker, but so she had some troubles early on.
So is it fair to say there's a lot of enmity between you and Jewel now?
Maybe it's just hard to deal with. Yeah, I guess. I try to repair the relate. We didn't talk for years. In the last few years, we've been connecting and taking care of our mother together, and that was good. And then now it's just some miscommunication going on. So
Yeah.
it's making it
But it's the
stressful.
miscommunication. I think the miscommunication is not really to do with you, but it's to do with Jewel.
Yeah, just maybe her processing her everything that's going on. Her mom was the only relative she's known
Right.
besides me and my brother.
And it
Only
seems to me that
so.
she's probably incredibly unpredictable and difficult to deal with, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be good to know how to deal with this person.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid of her. I'll just be honest. Like that's why she went to foster care. She did try to attack me and my mom when I was 7. Um,
Right, for like physically.
Physically with a wrench. So she
Yeah.
didn't hit me, but she came after us. And
Right,
that
right,
was,
right.
yeah.
So we're getting this kind of feeling. This is the consultation chart again. It's the Mars Uranus, the kind of, mad attack. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the point is this person's behavior is dysfunctional.
Yes.
So you need a strategy.
hmm
Uh, so the strategy is basically like this, there's going to be more confrontation for initially,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
And
And there has to
yeah,
be. Yeah.
yeah. But there's a way of finding an agreement with this person. This person and you can definitely, I think, or it depends whether this person is Mars or whether this person is Mercury. Now, if this person is Mercury, Mercury is going to go retrograde and it's going to go trine Jupiter, which is you. Because Jupiter rules the ascendant, bit complicated, but it means there's a harmonious reconciliation.
Hmm.
So
Oh, that'll be great.
if you don't stress too much, about all this, because it's not your fault, it's the other person's behavior. Um, you can, with time, a kind of agreement, a completely okay agreement will arise, you know. So don't stress too much.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I will point out that her and my brother are both Gemini sons. And I say I have the South Node in Gemini,
So
which
she's
is in the
probably
fourth house of
Mercury.
family. Would that be what?
I don't
What's
know,
that?
South Node in Gemini in the fourth, it could get messy, right? Because Mercury rules the South Node in your birth chart, it's square Uranus, so there's all sorts of communication breakdowns, which can arise. And that's the
Mhm.
situation you're in now. It's a communication breakdown. Now you may have some kind of, mm, uh, I think it's possible, correct me if I'm wrong, you may be pretty sensitive about communication. And when you get your feelings get hurt, perhaps you also have a tendency to kind of cut off the communication. It's just too painful, is it?
100% correct on that. Yes.
All right. Okay, well that's a bad habit.
Yes. Yes, it
Uh,
is.
yeah. So what can you do about that? You have to recognize the way it arises, right? It hits you like very suddenly. It's
hmm
like first you get the emotional hurt, right? Then you want to go into self-protective mode, and
hmm
I think your solution is to cut off the communication. Like
Yeah.
to distance yourself, and
Mhm.
that's a kind of what you can say. A conditioned habit, maybe because of all the difficult communication you had in your upbringing. How many siblings and step siblings and that did you have?
Well, I grew up in a home with my full blooded brother and my half sister until she went to foster care. And then I have my father's side. He had an older daughter that
Mm.
he doesn't talk to. And then with his third wife, he had 2 kids,
All right.
a
So,
boy and a
so there's
girl.
this kind of like chaotic situation, really, about
Mhm.
people's children and that. So, why would you, being a sensitive, having all these planets in Cancer, and why would you want to engage emotionally with people that you're not going to be able to make an emotional bond with? That might be one of the reasons you would cut off the communication, or not allow it to arise. Just so long as it doesn't happen with your husband, because you could do the same thing there. If your feelings are hurt, you're wounded by some remark, and then you kind of space out and sort of
Yes.
incommunicado, right?
That's been my pattern in our marriage, but we're very aware of it, and I've been working on it.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how you work on that then?
I just know that I try to, or at least we acknowledge if I'm upset or he's upset, we just give the space for a minute, calm down, and then try to have the rational conversation about it,
Okay.
whatever the issue is.
Okay, good. Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
very interesting, all that.
Easier said than done. But.
I know. Yeah, maybe because I keep these consultations pretty short. I could talk about other things, but maybe you got some, questions or something you want me to explain, or.
Well, I was on while we're on the topic, curious about where does the step family, parents or step siblings show up in a chart?
Yeah, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule for that.
No? Okay.
I mean, there probably is, but I I don't know it. I think, I think that what's important is how it was for you being a young child in a Catholic family with a messy sibling thing. I think that's this fifth house, and I think that it made you kind of very careful about committing yourself emotionally to relationships, and as you get older, because you're getting on now, aren't you? 51.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of cracked it, and you sort of resolve it, and then I think that there's some tremendous talents, right? So, are you working right now?
Yes. I've
What are
been
you?
working for the last about 12 years. I work for my husband. So he's a small business owner, and I work for him as his assistant and his office manager. And
Oh, right.
so it's not what I want to do, but it's just turned into what it is. But before that, I did have, and this is a Uranus thing or Aquarius thing, but I spent 10 years in the airline industry. So I was
Airline industry, what does that mean?
yeah, well, I was a flight attendant for most of that for about
Okay.
8 years, and then a couple of years doing booking sales and stuff. And I will point this out. So my father had two children with his current wife, and the youngest son did die in a plane crash when he was 14, and I was 19. So and actually, my brother, my dad both have their pilot's license. I took some flight lessons. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my career at that age.
Okay.
I was tossing around the idea of being a pilot. Of course, all that, we stopped all of
And
that.
that sounds a little bit like Aquarius ascendant and Uranus as the kind of ruler, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we got 5 minutes. So,
Yeah.
I'm thinking what might be really important for you right now, Jubilee. I think that your position is pretty strong, that you are an incredibly, resilient emotionally. And also, you've got lots of resources that you can share with people. So, whatever situation arises in this current period, you're going to be like pretty successful in what you're doing. Yeah, I think the thing about working for your husband, that there might come some sparks now because, well, maybe not this year, but next year as Uranus squares Mars. And then ultimately Pluto will come opposite your sun in Leo in the 6th, and you'll want to work with something else.
Yeah, I know about that transit coming up, and that was on my list to ask you. Like,
Yeah,
should
you
I be
won't be working
afraid, or
for
is
your
that?
husband at that time. So that when you reach that point, which I think is like,
In
it's
a
a
couple
little bit,
years, right?
yeah, it's 2028, right?
Okay, I got some time.
Yeah, and by the end of 2029, you'll be working with whatever else is important for you, you know. So your
Mhm.
husband had better find another secretary or whatever.
Yes.
Because the sun is like, it's going to represent your husband. It's the seventh house ruler. Pluto goes opposite the sun. So, if there's sort of some problems that arise there, um, it's because a change is going to be necessary. And you better let your husband know at that time, making
Okay.
making it into a crisis. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, can I just ask point blankly? I've always never knew what a good career for me would be. That's why I've had these different types of careers. Is there any, like, I don't know, North Node in Sagittarius with Neptune?
Mhm.
Is that, I
Well,
know you said teaching, and I think I'm a little old now, but maybe if I went back, I would have become a teacher.
yeah, I
I've
think
actually
teaching is
thought of it.
great for you, to be honest.
Really?
And if I think teaching problem kids would be great, and it's good for you to work in a group, And
Okay.
I don't think, and one of the things I forgot to do today is to kind of show that. That you have this kind of wonderful side in your nature, which is represented by Venus in Cancer, trine Jupiter in Pisces. It's a very beautiful combination. They're also in a kind of reception because they're exalted in each other's signs. And that actually shows in you, and it's don't be modest. It's a really compassionate nature, where you feel you feel love. And it's kind of got this, maybe from this Catholic upbringing, it's got this kind of solid, it's a bit like a Virgin Mary thing, maybe. Maybe that's why you wanted to be a nun, yeah. Do you recognize that kind of in your
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
how do you feel that?
Yeah. No, that feels, yeah, that's nice to hear that something nice like that and that shows up
Well, how does it feel
because
when
that is my
you feel it? Because
personality.
you feel it to your daughter and you feel it to,
Yeah, I am very sensitive, very emotional. I mean, I do can cry very easily. I get moved, not necessarily upset. I just
all
tear
right.
up
So
at
you
the
get moved.
commercials and,
So
and I
you're
like to
moved by
help
the
people
you're
any
moved
way I
by the
can.
love, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So that feels good, right?
Hmm.
So that's a really nice side of your nature, in fact.
Well, that's nice to hear. And I feel like a lot of trauma I had in my childhood, I have the empathy to,
Yeah,
in any
good.
ways, even if I'm not doing social work, I help people in whatever ways I can.
Yeah.
So that
So
is what
precisely
makes me
because it
feel
was
good.
was difficult in your childhood, you developed this. They were like the engines of evoking what's a true compassionate side in your nature, right?
Hmm. Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, nice to feel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's me. That's our half hour. Thanks very much. You can hang around. Maybe people want to ask some questions, and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Uh, Thank you very much. Yeah.
Sure thing.
Okay, I'm gonna sort of try and find out how to. I'll open the chat first of all. Oh, right, there's some questions already there, and maybe I can. Ooh, unmute people. I'm not very good at this. Participants, maybe participants. No. Okay, let's chat. And I've got a question. Why did you look to Mercury Mars to address a half sister? Um, hmm, Well, there's two things. It's first of all, in the birth chart, there's a Mercury Uranus square. And secondly, in the consultation chart, there's a Mercury Uranus opposition. Now, Mercury's in exile or detriment in Sagittarius. So it's not like home. It's not a. It's this sibling is not at home, you know. And the very fact that Mercury's opposite Uranus, there's a huge separation. So that was the kind of. It doesn't always mean half sisters, but so it could have just mean a separation from an existing sister. Um, but you often get half sisters with Mercury, Pluto, and Venus, Pluto aspects. Okay, that was one question. Please put some more questions in, or maybe I can find a way of unmuting everybody.
I have a question.
Oh, nice. I hear you.
For Catherine. Catherine, with your Mercury square
Can you ask
Uranus.
the question direct to me? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. I was just wondering if the Mercury Uranus meant like a break from the church.
Okay, that's did it mean a break, Catherine?
Well, yes, I don't actively go to church or follow Catholicism. I'm more spiritual since for years now.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I just honor different religions. I've been to different churches with friends of different religions, dated people outside my culture and religion, but it's just something more personal to me that I hold. So yeah, I wouldn't say it would be considered a break. I would say for sure.
Yeah, but
I'm not just
I
a
suspect that
devotee to one religion.
yeah, I suspect that you still love Catholicism.
Yeah, I have an appreciation for it. You know, my grandparents were from Ireland, and there's, you know, it's my grandmother met the Pope, you know, so it just has that meaning to me.
Yeah. Okay, great. I've got another question here. What is the reading chart where you can see that Catherine cut off relationship whenever she is hurt? Oh, well, I think again that's the Mercury Uranus square. You know, maybe I should show the horary. Oops, not there. Um, yeah, because Mercury is square Uranus and Uranus is opposite Chiron. I think Catherine is very sensitive to wounding remarks, and the kind of reaction that Mercury Uranus has is to it's not the same as icing people like you get with Mercury Pluto. It's just a kind of short circuit of communication. So there's no kind of it's suddenly turned off, right? It's not so emotionally loaded as it could be with Pluto. Okay, that was a second question.
It's
Anybody?
the Mercury and the Mars conjunction.
Say that again, sorry.
Square with the Uranus. Is it
Uranus,
the
Mars.
Mercury with the Mars?
You mean currently the transit of which aspect are you referring to?
Okay. Now the question is because she's very sensitive because of cancer, having Venus and Mercury, and is it Saturn that is in the origin of this cutoff of relationships when she feels hurt?
It's possible. I mean, I think the Saturn is a defensive reaction, as Catherine explained after her teenage love experiences, and she's kind of really, careful before she lets anybody in on an emotional level. Mercury then becomes an extra thing where she you might also get a lot of hassles with Mercury Uranus square. So maybe she gets when Catherine said she was what would you say hassled by men. Maybe it's verbally also through text and SMS and all that. Has that been the case, Catherine?
Well, no, there wasn't text back then. But it would be, back then it was just literally stalking, phone calls, the
Yeah.
phone, harassing, driving by, constantly trying to, yeah.
Right. So that's a real pain, so that she had to go through with the Mercury square, Uranus square, Chiron, uh, stalking and phone calls.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you for asking the question. And please, anybody else? I've still got a few minutes. If
I have another question about the Mars right there on the descendant.
Yeah.
And I wondered, did she find, because sometimes they say that you're aggressive. Did she find that it's the Mars is the other people? And also does she feel that people find her aggressive in a sense?
Well, I don't know.
That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up because I've looked into that myself and trying to self-reflect. But definitely early on, I'll say in my relationships, even with my stepfather, I was, he was very abusive verbally and physically. And even a best friend was a little bit physically abusive to me as a child. I know it seems silly, but where I really looked into that, like, oh, okay. And then I did do research saying that could be the individual, because I do believe, which is really weird to see, but that a lot of serial killers have Mars in the seventh. That's, I don't know. I've read that. I looked into that somewhere. They said, I was like, geez, that's wonderful.
You're not a serial killer, though, are you?
So that really hurt my
I think you have to be
Venus
very
and
specific
Jupiter.
about the Mars, right? The Mars in Virgo in the seventh, square Neptune, shows partners that are super critical, but
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
projection because you also have you're very quick at spotting flaws in masculine behavior, and so
Yes.
you be critical, right? So
Yes, and I can be. Yes.
and then people get angry, right? So you'd be evoking the anger because
So we probably say whatever was going on with Saturn and Mercury, those hurtful words in the past when I was younger and more immature, I would set me off in those intimate relationships where then I would, touche, I'd make sure they had it right back with something hurtful. I'm sure I'm guilty of that. Yes. Once I've been triggered and hurt, it's like, okay, then I will, tell you what I see, and then give them the honest verbal.
Okay, well, thanks for that feedback. All right, groovy. Any more questions?
Could I follow up with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know some people who have Mars in the seventh, and sometimes it feels like, well, I wanted to ask just to wonder how, because she was guarded and a little bit defensive, how did she meet her husband? Because sometimes when you're afflicted by stalkers, you think, boy, I'm going to hold back on that. But then but then the good ones seem to get away. So if you've got a strong Mars in the seventh, and you think, well, I'm going to do the choosing. So I'm wondering, did she choose her husband?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is another great question. Actually, I was introduced to him by two people. So I had like two references. So then I went on a date with him. Mm. Yeah, so we met out here in Indiana, and he's actually from New York, and we're the same age. Mm. So, and two people that, which one was my stepmother, and another was a really close family friend that was a younger guy. So I had these who was actually best friends with my younger brother who passed away. So I had these really two close people, a male and a female, saying, hey, you should meet this guy. I think you get along great. And so then I said, okay.
Yeah, that's good. So I think it's good with recommendations in your
case. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got a quick question, actually. I'm thinking your husband's changed his job recently.
No, well, it's funny. He's been in business for himself for years now, over 20 years. And just recently in the last year and a half, he's decided to, or with mentors and his board of associates, to grow the business, so he's hired more people, which stresses me out. for a lot of
Right,
reasons,
right,
but
right.
hired more people and we're trying to grow the business. And there are some internal changes to grow it so that he can sell it and retire. So
Okay.
maybe
I
that's
have some advice about that, because I think that's
okay.
clear for he's going to be ruled by the seventh house ruler in the consultation chart. It's Mercury. So Mercury, when it's gone about to go retrograde, is going too far, too fast. So he and of course it's stressing you with the Mercury Mars conjunction. So it's like unwise, some of what he's doing. He's overextending himself. And what he needs to do is to press the timeout button, and then, you know, because Mercury's going to go retrograde. I'm not sure about some of these people he's hired with the Mars-Uranus opposition. Anyway, Mercury's going to go back into Scorpio trine Jupiter. He should listen to you.
Well, can I say there's something interesting about my husband? He is a Sun and Mercury and Gemini in the 10th house, and so, with Leo rising.
Oh,
He's like a Donald Trump. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
it
you're
was,
thinking.
yeah, use that as an example. Like that's his ambition, and there's no telling him what to do.
No.
That's why I work for him, not with him.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. That's, you
Yeah.
know, he's very, he's very business minded. And so hopefully he does have a moon in Cancer. So he isn't, I feel like he gets a lot of his business sense is from some intuition, although he won't admit it.
No. Okay, well, that's nice for you. I think that he probably
No.
got Venus on his moon or something. Listen,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Catherine. That's really great. It's really interesting. I hope everything goes well for you.